本日は日曜の朝にもかかわらず、オンラインイベント、アドバンスラーナーのためのプログラム説明会にご参加いただき、大変ありがとうございます。私、本日司会を務めさせていただきます、一般社団法人エデュケーションビヨンドの服部彩子と申します。どうぞよろしくお願いします。まずは、本日のイベントでの質問の受付方法についてご案内させていただきます。Zoom のチャット機能は事務局からの配信専用となります。皆様からのご質問は、Zoom のチャット機能ではなく、スライドというプラットフォームを利用して受け付けます。ご覧の QR コードからリンク先に遷移し、質問をご記入ください。また、ご質問された内容がすでに投稿されている場合、いいねボタンをクリックしていただけると、その質問が上位に表示されるようになります。ぜひ、このいいねという機能もご活用ください。また、今日は日本語、英語の2カ国語で同時通訳を用意しております。ご覧になっている画面の下の方、通訳の地球儀マークをクリックしていただき、日本語、英語、それぞれお聞きになりたい言語をお選びください。そして当団体エデュケーションビヨンドでは、Facebook のページで最新情報をお知らせしています。ぜひフォローをお願いします。では、まず本日のプログラムのご案内です。この後すぐ、米国ジョンズ・ホプキンス大学のセンター・フォア・タレンテッド・ユースCTY の香港支部より、海外からの生徒を募集する担当者から CTY で提供しているプログラムの具体的な内容についてご説明します。9時25分頃からは、当団体代表理事のポール・D より、来年1月下旬以降に実施を予定している日本で初めての CTY のプログラムについてご説明いたします。なぜ CTY のプログラムを導入するのか、アドバンスラーナーにとってこのプログラムに参加することでどんな経験が期待できるのかなど詳しくお話しさせていただきます。9時40分頃からは15分の質疑応答の時間を設けています。ここでは主に CTY や年明けの試験的プログラムの内容についての質問にお答えします。応募方法や選考過程についての質問については、10時台にたっぷり時間をとってご質問にお答えしますので、後半の質疑応答までお待ちください。その後、9時55分頃から年明けに東京都内で開催する予定の試験的プログラムについて、具体的な応募方法、対象者や応募資格、選考過程についての詳しいご説明、さらに費用や奨学金についてもご紹介します。10時10分頃からは、その前にご紹介したプログラムの具体的な内容や費用、奨学金などについての質疑応答を受け付けます。こちらは20分の時間を設けています。次に、ご質問の受付の方法についてご説明します。本日のイベントでは、スライドという仕組みを使って皆様からのご質問を受け付けております。ご覧の QR コードのリンクよりお入りいただき、質問をご記入ください。匿名で記入することができます。Zoom とスライドをどちらも見られるようにして、この後のイベントにご参加ください。それではお待たせいたしました。イベントを開始します。まずは CTY の香港支部で海外の生徒の募集担当をしているアシスタントディレクターのビアトリクス・リー、並びにコーディネーターのキャサリン・キンよりCTY のプログラムについてご説明させていただきます。日本は他の国にはない魅力があるということで、お二人とも日本が大好きだということです。それでは、ビアトリックスさん、キャサリンさん、お願いします。
Well, thank you, Ayako-san. So as introduced, I'm Beatrice. I I'm based in Hong Kong, in the Hong Kong office right now, and together with me today is Catherine. Catherine will show up later during the Q&A session. So besides the two of us, we also have a lot of other staff members working for CTY. They all work from the US. And here we are today representing CTY and talking about CTY too. So CTY stands for Center for Talented Youth. We are not affiliated to the Johns Hopkins University. We are actually part of the Johns Hopkins University. So in case you haven't heard of CTY yet, I hope you have at least heard about our university. And in case you haven't heard about Johns Hopkins University either, that's okay. We got some basic facts here today for your reference. So first of all, we're not new anymore. We have over 150 years long history. We were founded in 1876, the very first American research university. We're also the very first medical school admitting women as medical students. We're ranked at the top in the US by the National Science Foundation for federally funded research and development. And indeed, we have a lot of outstanding graduate programs such as in public health, nursing, education, medicine, and biomedical engineering according to the US News and World Reports. They all rank really high, not just in the US, but globally as well. We also have over 29 Nobel Prize winners from past to present. We have a lot of prominent alumni, such as the former New York Mayor, Michael Bloomberg, who is still helping a lot of lower income undergraduate students joining GHU as of today. But we're not going to talk about the university or the alum today. We're here to talk about CTY and also here to talk about your students. So in the next few slides, I hope that you can take a moment to think about why you're here, what sort of questions that you might have, and hopefully we will be able to help answer most, even if not all of them today. So as you think about all of this, I want to share with you some of the reasons why CTY come to us. So students come to us for various reasons and for various experience, and this is the most common one. Sometimes they wanted to get ahead in their study. They wanted to learn much faster than their age would suggest, or even faster than what can be provided back in school. Some of them wanted to find a safe space to try something new, because at CTY, they don't have to worry about making mistakes, and they can also get challenged from time to time without worrying about their testing results. They also get the chance to experience something that they never get to experience back at school, or maybe have to wait until the college year to find out. Last but not least, they also wanted to meet other students who are equally bright or sometimes even brighter than they are. They all come for various reasons, but one thing we know is they all share the love of learning here at CTY. So there is no one single type of CTY really, and we know them. So here is what we believe. We're not new anymore. So we started with a very small research project back in Baltimore in the US in the very beginning for a very small group of students in grade 7 to 8. But now we grow into this global organization working for students as young as in grade 2 all the way up to grade 12. And not just in the US anymore, we are really global. We recruit students from over 75 countries, including Japan. And one thing that doesn't change even though over the years, that is students coming to us, they all share the love of learning. And as for us, we remain the leader in the gifted and talented education. So how are we different? You will probably be able to find a lot of summer programs, online programs out there, but we're not just any other kind of online or summer programs. CTY programs is not for everybody, but for the right students, they will feel like appropriately challenged, and it is a transformational experience as well. So here is at CTY, we provide students the opportunity to experience what they really love, so that they get the chance to learn something different from what they learned back in school, and even cross-disciplinary. And we do provide above grade level challenge. So here at CTY, we also provide identification to allow the parents to understand better about the true potential of their students. And then through this identification process, it is not to label the student, but really to help us put students at the right level to start with at CTY, so that they can all be appropriately challenged. And at CTY, we don't provide in-grade level kind of education, we provide above grade level challenge, enrichment, and acceleration at a level that will suit the student's ability and also their preference and schedule as well. And we also provide a chance for students to form a community to meet friends who are, as I said before, equally bright or sometimes even brighter. So here are some statistics that we have last year for your reference. So last year, we have over 13,000 students taking online SCAT tests, which is part of our identification process. And for those who qualified in a test, they went on to enroll in our program, and we have over 250 online courses for them to choose from, and it is actually 289 to be exact as of the date. We also award lower income family students and financial aid if they need to, because we are nonprofit and we do that every year as well. And although we don't have that for anyone outside the US, Education Beyond will be able to provide that, and then they will talk about that later on in the slide. Well, as of the day, since we have over 40 years of experience already, we have a lot of alumni as well. We have nearly 200,000 alumni. And just before the pandemic, we also have this on-campus summer program, not just in the US, but also in Hong Kong. And combine it, we admit students from 75 different countries. And there were almost like 10,000 students. Besides on-campus summer program, we also have online programs, but online programs is not new to us. We have been around for over 25 years, so we really know what would work in this virtual setting. And also during the pandemic, we have added some really interactive and new components to our online programs to suit the student needs. And because of that, starting from 2018 to just last year, we get to see a really dramatic growth in the enrollment at CTY, really 58%. And as I said before, we are truly global. We don't just have summer on-campus programs in the US along the East Coast and West Coast. We also have them in Hong Kong before. And we also work with partners everywhere, including Japan with Education Beyond here too. And we have students everywhere. So here with SCTY, we provide two major types of programs. First, the online programs that can happen anytime, anywhere. We also have on-campus summer programs that will happen during the summer in person, mostly in US. Well, we're not going to talk too much about the summer programs here today, but if you're interested, do find out more from our website. And for online programs, here are some basic facts. So first of all, our online programs are open for students as young as in grade 2, all the way up to the end of the high school year, grade 12. They are all year round, so you don't have to wait until the next summer in order to get started. We have a lot of different cohorts, and even if you miss the summer, there is already another cohort starting in the fall, and then another one in winter, in the spring, and so on and so forth. And they come in different learning formats. I'm going to tell you more about that in the next slide. Well, unlike other online programs, students don't just learn independently all by themselves. Throughout the entire course, they will be paired up with an instructor who is a subject matter expert and who will guide them throughout the entire process, give them constant feedback, and also answer any of their questions in person as well. Most importantly, our courses are also accredited by, let's say, the Western Association of School and College, the Middle State Association of College and School, NCAA, and if you study our AP courses, they are also approved by the College Board. It is important for those who seek credit from schools. And even though I said that, well, all of them happen on an ongoing basis throughout the entire year, there are, however, some important dates that you need to pay attention to. In case you want to start in fall, make sure that you don't miss the registration deadline upcoming soon. So do pay attention to the ongoing registration deadlines, and they're all posted on the website. And if you wanted to join the summer programs or the online programs, the first thing that you need to do is to go through the identification process. So you will have to obtain the minimum admission requirements in order to get started. So here are the course learning formats. We offer 4 different learning formats to suit the student busy schedule and also their preference. So the top two are the traditional one, and the bottom two are introduced just during the pandemic. So when you choose these different formats, there are mainly two questions that you need to ask yourself. First, whether you wanted to learn independently or with other students. If you wanted to learn more independently and guided by an instructor, then you should choose the top two courses, session-based and individually based. They give you a really great flexibility because you can manage your schedule pretty much by yourself within a given time, especially with individually paced. And also because of that, there are no synchronous meeting time, so time difference wouldn't be such a concern. However, if you wanted to learn with other students, be in the same classroom with others at the same time, then you should consider live and problem-based because there are this synchronous meeting time that you have to join, well, in real time. So when you join those courses, when you apply for them, make sure that you choose the right meeting time that you will be able to participate, because all these courses will not be recorded. And if you miss more than 2 of them, chances are it will be reflected in the ultimate evaluation results as well. And then the second thing is you have to ask yourself whether you wanted to learn something similar to what you can learn back in school, very academic, but at the same time allow you to get ahead in the study. So probably you can learn it a few years later, but at CTY, if you are eligible, you can already get started now. So if that is the reason, and if you want to seek credit, you should consider session-based and individually paced courses again. However, if you wanted to learn something very different from what you can learn back in school, something that you may not be able to learn until, let's say, the college year, then you can consider live and problem-based, because we provide interdisciplinary options for you. And I'm going to talk live a little bit more today, but not so much in detail yet, because the Education Beyond team will be able to give you a few examples later on. So basically live, as I said, well, you will have to be online at the same time with other students. So there will be this synchronous meeting time, and all these classes will be again led by subject matter expert or instructor. And the classes are very small, no more than 14 students, and it's very dynamic. So here are some of the example that you can see on the website. So if you go to our website, if you check out our catalog, you will be able to see that under the live courses, you can choose topics such as engineering, or even like catching a criminal, which I know Paul will talk more about that later. And then if you wanted to be a doctor one day, you can also study diagnosis with a doctor. So these are just some examples. So after hearing all of this, if you're interested, the first step will be really to get started with us. So we say that to start, you will have to submit a joint CTY application. And in another word, that is to create an account. Once you have created an account with us, we will provide you with different testing options to choose from. So you just pick the right one for yourself. And then if you need to take a test, you can show up at a parametric testing center, which is available in both Tokyo and Osaka in Japan, or even do an online version of the SAT test sketch that will be available anytime, anywhere too. And after that, just check your testing results and see what your eligibility is. And then you can get started and then choose a course according to your interest and preference. So for the testing options, well, traditionally, we only recognize one of these tests. So if you're doing a US-based curriculum, probably you're taking PSAT, SAT, or ACT at school already. If that is the case, that's great. You only need to submit the result to us, check the eligibility, and then you need to take another test. However, if you're very young and if you haven't taken any of that yet, you can do an SDAT test, which come both in person, computerized at Parametric Testing Center, or you can do it online. So all of these tests, we have some sample questions online for your reference, and you can find out more from our website as well. And I want to also introduce you the Test Expansion Pilots program. We started just last year, and then we are going to extend this until the end of the summer too. So during the pandemic, we understand that, well, sometimes the testing center might be closed and you may not be able to arrange a test easily. So because of that, we really wanted to help students who are eligible to come into our program. So through this pilot program, we recognize some of the in-grade level assessment that you may already be taking at the school, and then use those testing results for application. And if you use those results, recognize it, then you can then choose the citywide level courses, which means most of our online courses and some of the on-campus summer programs too. So in order to do that, you have to make sure that for the test that recognize, you have to achieve at least over 98 percentile, or if it is a grade level test, you need to do 2 or more grade levels. So all this information can be found out from our website, and I can give you a few examples about what sort of tests that we recognize. So usually we do like SSAT or even MAP, and if you're currently coming from an international school, most probably you are already taking one of those at school, and then all you need to do is during the program application, just attach those testing results within the recent 3 years, and then we will be able to review it, vet it, and then approve your eligibility so that you can apply for the according courses accordingly. And again, more information can be found online. So this is the basic about CTY that we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to pass the time to Paul so that he can give you a few more examples about live as well.
Beatrix さん、ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Beatrix, for the
では、これよ
presentation.
り当団体代表理事
Now we
の
would like
ポー
to
ル D よ
ask
り
Paul Lee, the
東
Board
京
of
で来年
Education Beyond, to
2023年の
introduce
1月下旬以
the
降に
pilot
開催する
program
予定の
that
プログラムに
is
ついてご
scheduled to
説明さ
start
せていただき
next
ます。
early next year.
ポールさん、よろしくお
So
願いしま
Paul,
す。
please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ayako-san, and good morning, everyone. This is Paul Lee from Education Beyond. In the next 10 to 15 minutes, I hope to provide you with a quick overview of the pilot program that we're planning for 2023. But before I start, let me first go over the background of the program, which is the mission and vision for all of us at Education Beyond. First of all, our mission is to help build a society where advanced learners can realize their full potential. But how do we do that? We believe at Education Beyond that in order to do that, we can do that in 3 different ways. Number 1 is we want to create a space where advanced learners can satisfy their passion for learning. And that is what we're going to do, start with the pilot program. Secondly, we like to build a collaborative community for the parents and guardians of advanced learners to share knowledge and experience. Throughout our webinar, we heard from the parents that in order to help the advanced learners, it is critical to also get the parents and the guardians of advanced learners to work with us. And therefore, we'll work on creating a community so that everyone can share the information together. Lastly, we also know that the advanced learners spend most of their time at school and with their teachers. And therefore, as a next step, we like to work with teachers to ensure that advanced learners are identified, understood, and supported in schools. And so why are we doing the Education Beyond pilot program? We had our first online event on June the 26th. And we heard from parents that in order to support advanced learners, the available programs are actually not very many in Japan. They heard from their own children that the school's boring, the topics that my friends like to talk about are boring. They heard from their children that sometimes no one understands me, I just want to know more and I just want to learn. But when they go out and try to find resources for their children, there are not many available. The second reason we call this a pilot program is if you heard from CTY that they have what's called the live courses. The live online courses where you will be able to interact live with the teachers and your other classmates, but you will be attending the class from your own room, and therefore you will not have a chance to actually meet with other students face to face. The program that we're calling this time is the hybrid program, where we will explain more in detail later. Before I talk about what the pilot will look like, I'd like to give you some examples about the programs that we're thinking about offering. The first example I like to give here is a science topic course called Grossology, and it's targeted at elementary school grade 3 to 4. So what is Grossology? If you know the word gross, which what children say a lot, there are a lot of things actually coming out of the human body that they like to say it's gross. For example, gas or burp. In fact, the children, even though they call them gross, they're very interested in knowing about them. However, it sometimes feels awkward to ask parents or teachers about them. And also it's equally as awkward for teachers and parents to explain these things to them. This course will teach you everything the children like to know about these quote unquote gross things, and you will learn them through mini lessons and experiments in anatomy and physiology. So that's the first program that we're thinking about. The second program, as an example, is a math program. And this is targeted at elementary school grade 4 to grade 5. Now, every children knows about Disney, Pixar animations, and they love them. And they're interested in them, not only for the advanced learners in the characters themselves, but they also like to know a lot of things behind the animation. For example, if you look at the picture in the middle, how many helium balloons are needed to keep in a character in the air? Where should they be? These are the things that the animators need to think about before they can create a realistic animation. And therefore, the program will teach the coordinated geometry and combination and permutations as they watch the program so that they can learn more about the math behind it. And this is the second program we're thinking about. The third program, even though it says here it's a science program, because my son has taken the program in the past, I would call this an interdisciplinary program. Because in order for you to take this course, you're not only learning about science. This course in particular is targeted at grade 5 and grade 6. And because this is an online course, you would actually be solving mock cases online. And basically what the course will do is they'll create a crime scene that many of us have seen on TV. And then the children would use science to try to find who the culprit or who the bad guy is, using the evidence presented in the course. Now, there are many things that you would actually use. For example, fingerprints, footprints. My son attended the program in person, so they were also able to go into the lab and examine blood samples. But in the online program, most of them will be using what you can see online. What's really interesting is that at the end, what they call the final, in the last day, the teachers would actually, in person, who would actually be the victim of the crime, and the student will go into a classroom and solve who is it who actually commit the crime to their teachers. And it was a lot of fun, and my son really loved it. And I'm really glad that this could be offered online here as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the format and the details of the pilot program. First of all, the entire course will be presented in English. The instructor from CTY will be dialing in through Zoom live, and everything will be English. In terms of the format, we're considering having one morning on weekends, either Saturday or Sunday. This is to be decided later, and we'll announce it as soon as it's decided. As CTY talked about, the classes for CTY courses are always very small. So it's up to 15 students, 14, 15 students per class. And we'll be offering them at a fixed location or classroom in Tokyo. And as I just discussed, in terms of the teacher, the teachers will dial in live to Zoom classes, and therefore it will be conducted in English. However, if you are worried about your children not having enough English ability, we will be having bilingual local teaching assistants to provide in-person support after the class to help with the children who may have some confusions during the class under the content or homework. Next, I will talk about a typical day schedule. Now, this is just a tentative schedule today, and the details will be a slight variation of this, but it will be very similar. Basically, it's a morning that will take roughly just under 3 hours. You would come in first thing in the morning on 9 o'clock, and you will have a morning meeting, you will have ice breaking, so that the children will feel at ease to talk with other classmates in a classroom and also the teacher. And then from 9:15, there will be 1 hour of Zoom session taught directly from the US by the CTY instructor. And after that, we'll have another hour where the local teaching assistants will provide support on homework, on tasks, and they will also facilitate the discussions even after the class. And we'll have also the last wrap-up meeting to make sure that everybody reflect on what they've learned today, and they can actually also share with others. The target that we're thinking of right now is from grade 3 to 6. We'll have more information about exactly what the grades if your children is in grade 2 and what we should do later. But that is what we have today in terms of the pilot program. Now, I'd like to give a few program highlights on why you may want to consider this pilot program. Well, first of all, as you heard from CTY, CTY has more than 40 years of experience in helping advanced learners to get to their passion, the subject that they're interested in. But what I want to highlight here is that most of the live courses happen at nighttime in the US. And therefore, if your children in Japan want to take them, you'll be in the morning and it will be if a conflict with their school time. What we're trying to do this time is to have the class happening on the weekend so that you will be able to do them without disrupting your normal school. Now, as we talked about in the past about advanced learners, most of the advanced learners like to deep dive into a special subject. And this, with the CTY program, will provide you with that. And lastly, what I think was really important is that you'll be able to make friends who are interested and curious about the same thing. And therefore, that you'll be able to make friends that you may or may not be able to get to do so in the regular school that they attend to. So the answer is quite simple. Who should attend? If you think your children is bored at school and they want to look for a place to actually stimulate their desire to learn, this is a program for them. If your child really wants to talk to other children who are similarly interested in the same subject, this is a place where they can meet them and become friends for life. And lastly, if you are worried about your children who have not attended any English-only programs, the good part is that we'll have bilingual teaching assistant to support. And I know there are a lot of questions on English, which we'll address in Q&A, but this is the part that I think is very valuable, especially for children who have only attended Japanese schools. And with that, I will pass back to Ayako-san, and then we'll open up for Q&A.
ポールさん、ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Paul-san. It all sounds very exciting with the variety of programs available. And now we would like to go to a Q&A about the course and program. So from Hong Kong, Beatrix, who explained the CTY course earlier, as well as Catherine Sun will be joining us. So if I may ask Beatrix and Catherine to join us again. Thank you very much. So now we would like to go to the questions that have been sent in. So here's the most frequent question. My child is not good with English, so I'd like to ask if mostly Japanese-speaking students can be accepted, and what about the adults? What level of English will the parents need? So Paul-san, I think we're getting the most questions about English.
Thank you, Ayako-san. And I know that English is probably one of the most important questions for a lot of parents and for the children. What I want to say is that there are two interrelated but separate parts of English. Number one is the reading and writing, and separate from that is speaking. If your child has already passed the SCAT, I think it's fair for you to assume that your child has the ability to understand the content. And therefore, I think that is probably not the biggest reason that you're worried. This is typical to a lot of Asian students. It's not only unique to Japan, and later I'll turn to Catherine to actually provide some other experience as well. I think what's lacking is the ability or the opportunity to actually speak English. And I just want to assure everyone that this is actually a place for you to be able to make mistakes. This is not a place where you have to be perfect in English before you attend the class. And I think the experience has been that children learn very, very fast. Maybe in the first few classes that the children are usually very shy and timid about talking. And the teachers know, especially when they teach this class from Education Beyond that the children probably, unlike other classes that don't have the experience, and therefore I think they're going to do their best to make sure that the children are comfortable and feeling it's okay to actually speak, even though they cannot perfectly express themselves. And so I really think that this is something that you should not worry too much about. Now, in terms of parents, everyone at Education Beyond, we're here to answer your questions. If you feel that there are things that you don't understand about the program, or there are questions that you'd like to ask about the courses, we're all here to help you. But the children would get more than enough support from the teacher and the teaching assistants at the pilot program. Catherine, maybe you can help us with some experience that you've seen in Hong Kong, and because in Hong Kong there are a lot of also children who actually don't attend English schools.
Yes, we do have students coming from different parts of the world. As Beatrice said, English always is not their first language. So as long as your child can read the context, as Paul said, communications can always improve when the environment is all English. Their confidence can always be boosted with the support of their peers and our instructors. I'm sure the Education Beyond staff will always be there to help your child. From our experience in Hong Kong, we have students from international schools and local students. Students from local schools may be quiet in the beginning, but just after a few days, they are usually no difference from everyone and be able to express well. For parents, your students, as I said, will be supported by a bilingual teaching assistant after each online instructional class. Parents who would like to help, of course, they can do that after the classes. They can ask questions to the students and see if their students need any help. Sometimes students in a new learning environment may be nervous, so parents can encourage your students to ask questions in the class. Our instructors will be more than happy to help them.
やはりありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Catherine-san. So it sounds like not having the right level of English is not a reason to not take part, at least according to Paul and Catherine. So we hope that many people will attempt to take part. Next question. What about the academic level that is required to take part in this program? Is this maybe a question better for Catherine-san, or I wonder?
For academic level, parents, first of all, to admit to be in the course, they have to take the test. The test will be above grade level. So, for example, if your child is in grade 2 and 3, they will be taking the test at the elementary level, which is designed for students in grade 4 and 5. So that means if they are qualified from the test, they should be qualified to attend our courses.
ありがとうございます。キャサリンさん、ありがとうございます。そしてポールさん。
Thank you very much, Catherine-san. Paul-san, for Education Beyond, our pilot program, are we using the basic same principle?
Yeah, that's correct. I think for some children, if your English is not your first language, you may need to study some vocabularies beforehand to pass the test. But at the end of the day, if you have the ability to understand the content, English shouldn't be that big of an issue. It may require some preparation, but I don't think that's going to be, stopping you from trying.
はい、ありがとうございます。そして、
Thank you very much. So the pilot program is for third graders to sixth graders. At CTY, there are programs for 7th to 9th graders and then also older through 12th graders. So are you planning on opening programs similar to that?
Obviously, we're just starting here, and therefore we have to limit ourselves in terms of what we can offer at the beginning. It is our intention that after we have our first pilot, depending on the feedback and on what everybody tells us, we like to expand the course to other grades. I think to the extent we can, for example, after the first pilot, we would love to be able to include grade 2, for example. And in the future, we also like to go to grade 7, 8, or 9. However, as we're beginning, and like I said, this is a pilot program with a hybrid format. We like to start with a more focused list. But it is entirely our intention that once we've done that, gradually we'll expand the type of courses actually also. We hope to not just limit ourselves to science and math, and also not just to grade 3 to 6 in the future.
はい、今の質問にもありましたように、今
As
回
we just heard in this question, Beatrix explained the CTY course, and also Paul-san, the courses that you explained were mostly science or math. Catherine-san, are there liberal arts related courses at CTY? There are, I assume. That's a question that came in.
Yes, we do have two main domain type of courses. As Paul introduced, most of the courses that Education Beyond is planning to introduce are math and science. But in CTY, definitely we have a lot of reading, writing, and humanity type of courses. So it depends on your child whether they are qualifying in the verbal section in the test. If they are a verbal qualifier, they can always choose that type of courses. So it really depends on the feedback, as Paul said. If we are accepting more students, definitely we will open more course choices for the parents.
なんか人文科学系のコースでこんな面白いのありますよという具体
So do you have maybe an example of any of the humanitarian courses that are really interesting?
Yes, we do have a course called World Building or Word Fantasy, where students can learn a lot of interesting vocabularies that help their writing in the future. And of course, during the courses, they have to read a lot, so the English level would be boosted at that type of courses.
理数系だけじゃなくてもね、他にももっと
So
もっ
it
と
sounds like outside of STEM disciplines, once Education Beyond grows more as an organization, we will be able to offer more in Japan. And then regarding participation in the program, we do have a question that's come in. My child is currently not able to go to the local school. Are these students able to take part, Paul-san?
I think the purpose of this program is obviously for you to be able to learn, beyond the school. And if your child, for example, my son attended a program in the U.S., many of his friends are actually homeschooled. So definitely, you do not have to attend a school at the moment for you to attend this program. I think what's important is that you obviously pass the test. And even though your child is at home most of the time, he is willing and happy to meet other friends. And therefore, this is exactly the same place. This is the place for him or for her to do so. And therefore, I would highly encourage you to think about your child's desire. If that's what he really or she really is looking for, this is a perfect program for you.
ポールさんありがとうございます。そして
Thank you, Paul-san. And Catherine-san, I'm wondering, are there CTYers who actually are not able to go to their regular school, but then they ended up enjoying learning? Has that happened?
Yes, we do have lots of students homeschooled in the US, definitely. So they're more than welcome to join as long as they pass our tests, as Paul said. If they are eligible, we are welcoming everyone.
なるほど。ぜひだからここに行ってまた新しい世
I
界が
see. And this may actually open a new world for such children. And then last question about the program content. So in the US, is there a difference in the programs being offered in the US? So can we answer about Education Beyond and Hong Kong courses? So Paul-san?
What we're offering today is exactly the same as what CTY provides. It's based on CTY's live courses. It's the instructors that have been teaching the same courses, their experience, and they know exactly what the children needs. So there is no difference in terms of what we're providing versus what CTY providing. The only thing that's different, I think, is the hybrid experience. In CTY Life, most of children will be dialing from home. They'll be sitting in their room. they would actually not have a chance to interact with other children. What we're trying this time is a hybrid program where not only you are receiving the same instruction from the CTY Life courses, you also have the opportunity to make friends, make great friends for hopefully for life. And so I think that's the main difference here.
Catherine-san, the content in Hong Kong is actually the same as the US, or are there some differences?
There is no difference because the online course is offered to students all over the world. That means if you are joining the course from different places, we are still providing the same content, and the instructors will be the same group of instructors. So the only difference in the courses that are provided by Education Beyond is the in-person element. So the students can meet their classmates at the same location that EB is providing. For the other people like Hong Kong or other places, students will meet online asynchronously with the parents, with the instructors and the other peers, but they don't have the in-person part.
Thank you, Catherine-san. And then a question that came in earlier that has gotten a lot of likes. So just one more question at the very end. In Japan, in bringing the CTY program, we understand that you are thinking about a Japanese language program because of the language barrier, but English speaking is a requirement for this pilot program, in which case the only benefit is that it's going to be in Asia. So what are your plans for doing a Japanese language course?
Yes, and thank you for the question. And that is the reason why in the vision that we have, in addition to providing the space for advanced learners, it's critical for us over time to build a community with the parents and teachers. The more supporters and more people who care about this program, we will build enough expertise here. Hopefully over time, and this is not going to happen tomorrow, over time we have enough educators and parents to work with us to also be able to offer maybe working with CTY, a local version in the future. But obviously all these efforts take time, and we also need a lot more support from everyone. So when you hear in the future that from our communication about joining our community, please join and stay connected with us, and we'll make sure that everything that we do in the future will be updated to you instantly.
Yes, we will definitely do our best to be able to create a Japanese language course, so please stay tuned. We have received many questions. Due to time constraints, we would like to wrap up this Q&A session for now. Thank you very much, Catherine-san, for joining us, and Paul-san, thank you as well.
Thank you.
Next, we would like to have an explanation about the pilot program that will start next year, about the schedule and how you can apply. And right after the presentation, we will have a 20 to 25-minute Q&A session. And once again, please send in your question through the Slido platform. Hello, I am a pro bono member of the Education Beyond. My name is Sawako Asai. I do a totally different job on a daily basis, and I'm really a bit nervous about making this presentation. I'll try to do my best. So if you can look at the next slide. So right after this, I will be explaining about the pilot program for advanced learners, which is expected to start late January. Here we will talk about the target grades and eligibility, tuition and scholarship, and also the schedule as well as the application process, and also concerning assessment. So the first 3 points is what I will cover. And I think there were many questions on Slido. about this pilot program, which is the assessment, especially about the SCAT. On this point, we will have Kayoko Hara, another pro bono member, to explain about that. So now first, looking at the target grades and eligibility for the pilot program. Now, you have to live in Japan, and as was explained earlier, the target grades would be grade 3 to 6 as of January next year. And if you want to take part in the course, you will have to go through an assessment and you need to have a valid score. And this will be explained later from Ohara-san later on. And we are looking at about 50 plus students. Now about the fee and also scholarship. The tuition will be determined once we set the venue. But the CTY live program usually costs about $1,350. That would be the basis. And we also need to consider that this is going to be a hybrid program. Children will be gathering in a classroom. And so we will take that into consideration when we set the tuition. We believe that it will be somewhere around $1,400 to $1,500. And once the tuition is determined, we will announce this through our website. So with the current exchange rate, I believe it's about 190,000 Japanese yen. And this tuition will include the tuition for the CTY course, and you may need some learning material. So the learning material fee is also included, as well as the venue fee. And of course, since this is a program for elementary school students, just in case that children break something in the classroom or some sort of accident happens, we will also need to have some insurance for just these cases. So that will be also included. And we will have a kickoff event before the start of the course. And on the last day after the end of the course, we will also have an ending event. So the fee for that is also included. Major cram schools, their summer program for grade 6. We looked at that. We saw that it's about 200,000 yen, 190,000 yen for a 9-period course. We do understand that this is quite high, but so if this fee is going to be a hurdle for advanced learners to take part in our pilot program, of course, we don't want that to happen. Therefore, on a needs base, we will be providing scholarship. So if you want to apply for a scholarship, when you apply for the pilot program, we will be asking if you need scholarship. And so if you do want it, please indicate that. And the scholarship fee will be determined based on the household income. And so you will need to pay tuition minus the scholarship that will be provided. Now, this scholarship will be available through donations that will be sent into Education Beyond. So that was about the tuition and the scholarship. Now, moving on to the process of taking part in this program, the application and assessment. If you already have a CTY account and if you hold a test score other than SCAT, the procedure may differ, but let's start with people who have not registered with CTI yet and you have not gone through assessment yet. So after this webinar, if you want to take part in the pilot program, please go to the Education Beyond webpage and acquire an Education Beyond promo code. So right after the end of this event, you will be able to apply. There is no upper limit for the applications, so you can take time to consider whether you or not you want to take part. And utilizing this promo code will help you when you create an account at CTY. Usually the registration fee will be about $60, but with this promo card, you can register free of charge. Now, once you've acquired the promo code, from the CTY webpage, you will need to create an account and you need to input that promo code. And once you've created an account, then you can apply for the SCAT test. And how to apply for this will be explained later. Now, once you took the SCAT and you got the result will be sent over to the mail address that you've registered when you created the account. And you will be able to log in to the account created on CTY webpage. Now, once you have confirmed eligibility, there will be an application form for the pilot program on our website. You can choose the course, you will input information about your child and also whether or not you want the scholarship. This format will be available in the autumn, and also once the tuition fee is determined, we will be announcing that as well. And the deadline for the application is tentatively set at October 31st, but depending on when we open this pilot program application, the deadline may be extended. And we will inform you through email after you have applied for the promo code. And we will look at all the children's grades and the courses that people want to take. And we will be announcing what courses will become available, and then we will be sending the invoices for the tuition from Education Beyond. And of course, at that point in time, the tuition fee will be set. Now, this just shows you a chart of what I've explained. So I just talked about no CTY account and no test score. That's the top of this list. The middle part is that you are registering for CTY for the first time, but you do have a test score other than SCAT. So in this case, you don't need to take the SCAT. All you need to do is to create an account and upload your score. The very last line here, maybe you already have registered with CTI, and so all you have to do is to fill in the application form for the pilot program, which will be available somewhere in autumn. So that's the procedure and schedule, and the URL for the registration and application will be available on Education Beyond's website. So after the event, I hope that you can go to our website and check. Now, for people who have applied for the promo code, we will send you information, detailed information through email. And as Paul explained, that other than the pilot program, for advanced learners, we are hoping to create a community of parents of advanced learners. Therefore, we will also send in information about that as well. So next on the assessment, Ohara-san, please. Thank you very much, Asai-san. I'm an EB Pro Bono member. My name is Ohara. I hope you are seeing the screen. So considering the CTY program and how to get the eligibility and also about the SCAT test, I will now explain. So Beatrix explained about the test expansion lit. In order to be eligible for the CTY program, well, if your child is attending an international school, you may be familiar with the MAP test, but there are other tests that could be used other than SCAT. And so if you already have a score to be eligible, then you do not need to take the SCAT test. And of course, as was explained earlier, there are other tests, but probably the SCAT test is most accessible. So I'd like to explain about this test. And there are two ways to get the test. As you can see on the slide here, left-hand side is taking tests at a center, and the right-hand side is when you are going to get tested online at home. So if you're going to a test center, you should go to the CTY application page and apply through Prometric. And the test fee is $144 if you go to the test center. If you're taking it online, it's going to be $60. These test contents, English, verbal, and arithmetic, quantitative. It's going to be a computer-based test. And the test results, if you go to the test center, it will be available within 48 hours. If you take it online, it takes about 7 to 10 business days to get the results returned. So please keep that schedule in mind. And the SCAT test, you can take this up to 2 times a year. There are no conditions set about how many days apart the 2 tests must be taken. So if the pilot program that's going to start from the end of January, and if you want to take part in this, you can take the test 2 times up until October, but the second test can only be taken after you receive the results of the first test. Now, a little bit about the test itself. It takes about an hour to get the test, and it starts with English, the verbal one. There is a 5-minute practice test, and then followed by a real test. It's 22 minutes. There is a 55 multiple choice test. After a 10-minute break, then you go on to the quantitative arithmetic test, which will start once again with a 5-minute practice item, and then the real test. Once again, it's 22 minutes for 55 questions. So for both tests, if you would like to know what kind of test it is, if you go to the CTY webpage, you will be able to see some sample questions. So I hope that you can take time later on to look through this. Next, some points to note if you are going to take the online test. And of course, you will be able to see this information on the CTY webpage and also on our webpage concerning the pilot program. So I hope that you can visit these web pages to look at the details, but I would like to just rush through some of the major points here. So if you're going to the test center, I believe it's in Ochanomizu, it's in Tokyo, you just follow the instructions to take the test. But if you are taking the test online at home, you will need to make some preparations on the day of the test. First of all, what you need is a room with a desk and chair where the child can be alone. You need to have a personal computer with a camera and internet connection, and also the parent will have to present an ID. And of course, you will have to do some calculation. Therefore, you would like to have some blank sheets of paper and pencil available. Now, before actual test, it may take about an hour to prepare. In order to get the SCAT test, you need to download the software for this and pay the fee, and the parent will need to present his or her ID. And then using the camera on the PC, you will have to scan the whole room, and then you will have to take a photograph of the child's face. And for the download of the software, depending on the internet speed, it may take about 30 minutes. So please keep this in mind. And of course, there will be instructions for each step. So you just need to follow the instructions that are given. And after this preparation, the parent will have to leave the room. And after that, the 1 hour or so test will start. And during the 1 hour test, the child will not be able to leave the room. So that's the online test. So please look at the CTY webpage and also the webpage concerning the pilot program. We will have this link on the Education Beyond webpage. You will be able to see the details. And we have a special page from Education Beyond. So if you can scroll down over here, you will be able to read what I've just explained, and also you will find the CTY webpage link and also some links concerning the SCAT test as well. And also, you will be able to see this where you can apply for the EB promo code. And we hope that you can apply from this. And we will be waiting for you to apply. Thank you very much. So that was the explanation about the pilot program and also the assessment. And if you have any questions, we will have this Q&A session after this. And now I will return the microphone back to Hattori-san.
Education Beyond のメンバーより、当団体が主催するプログラム。
So that was a presentation about the application process and assessment for the Education Beyond program. And moving on to the Q&A, so calling up Paul-san and Asai-san as well. And if Catherine-san also could join us from Hong Kong about the test process. So I'd like to go to our first question. We understand that there will be a scholarship provided. We would like to know details. Is it going to be income qualified? So Paul-san, could you answer, please?
Thank you. I will also ask Sawako-san to join to talk about more details later, but thank you for everyone who may be interested in contributing to the scholarship that we like to provide at Education Beyond. I just wanted to say that, first of all, everybody at Education Beyond is working together to make this happen on a pro bono basis. All of us here are here to be able to contribute to the development of advanced learner program here. And therefore, anything that we receive from our donors are going directly to the students who need them. I will turn to Sawako-san to provide more details. There's a homepage that we set up, but I just wanted to say that, first of all, thank you all for your consideration here at Education Beyond.
And I'd like to continue and explain a little bit more about the scholarship. I did say that this would be provided on an as-needed basis in our explanation. So if you would like to request or are in need of the scholarship, we will look to provide a scholarship. Regarding the actual amount, it will depend on the household income. So we're thinking of between 25% to 100% of the rate, depending on your household income. So please understand that we will be providing a scholarship based on your household income. And regarding if there is any kind of a threshold, for people who qualify for the scholarship, we will have an income ceiling. 10 million is the current ceiling that we are considering, but it will really depend on how many people need the scholarship. And it also will depend on how many donations we will be getting. So this is not the final information, but for now, we would like to consider household income up to 10 million yen. So there will be some kind of a scholarship available for households that qualify for that.
こちらの質問の
Thank you
方
very
に
much, Asai-san. And Paulson, there is somebody who is saying that he or she wants to donate. So if they want to donate, they should just look at the webpage for information on how to donate. Paul, I think you're still muted.
Yes. Please see our homepage for more details. There's a special tab for information on how to contribute to the scholarship at Education Beyond. If you prefer, please also look at the contact email address. You can directly contact us through email as well. Someone from Education Beyond will contact you back immediately. Thank you.
少しだけ補足をさせ
Just a little bit of additional information. Education Beyond, we have the Tokyo Community Foundation cooperation, and people who are living here in Japan, individuals can make donations for the Education Beyond Foundation. And when you make donations, individuals be able to get some tax credit. And if you can look at the Education Beyond webpage, there is a tab concerning donations. So if you go there, the Tokyo Community Foundation's webpage will appear for the Education Beyond Foundation. There is a link for that foundation. So if you can just look at that and consider making donations. And thank you very much for that question.
And we are also getting quite a few questions about the application process. So can we understand how the ACT test will be replacing the SCAT, or can we use a different test like IAB COJAT, COBAT, is it? Will this serve as an alternative? So does CTY acknowledge tests other than SCAT? So can we ask you, Catherine-san, to take this question?
Yes, we do accept other in-grade tests. In our pilot program, the test expansion pilot program, you can find it from our website. We have 43 extra accepted tests, and COGAT is one of it. So parents can just have a look at the list. If your child has taken COGAT and she's got 98% or above in the percentile, or 2 grades above, they can provide that test result rather than taking the SCAT.
キャサリンさん、ありがとうございます。そして、エデュケーションビヨン
Thank you very much, Catherine-san. And then regarding the Education Beyond pilot program, what kind of situation is it? Regarding the application process, we have the same process as CTY. So the eligibility will be done with the test results uploading, and that determination will be made by CTY. So we're basically the same.
はい、ありがとうございます。そして、本当質問たくさんありがとう
And
ございます。
there's a lot of questions coming in. Right now, the child is grade 2. But can this child also apply? And this person has a preschooler. In that case, can the child apply for the program? This is about age setting, so I believe I can ask Ohara-san for the explanation. Well, concerning the age limit, the grade in a Japanese school or an international school, from grade 3 to 6, that's the setting for the course at the moment. But as in the question, if it's a grade 2 in a Japanese school, but she or he may be, depending on the child's birthday, maybe let's say that that child will be advanced to grade 3 in the autumn in the United States, but here in Japan, he is still grade 2. In that case, you can consult us. For the preschoolers, they are not the target students, so maybe after a while, the child can take a SCAT test and apply.
場合に、どうやってその子の能力を
So in the case of a preschooler, how can we develop that child's skills? So this is a question. Paul-san, do you have any advice based on your personal experience?
Maybe I'll also refer to Catherine, but the SCAT is a test provided by CTY, but there are a variety of different tests available out there. And therefore, depending on your age, and you may be able to find someone using particular tests that he or she is comfortable with to provide for your children. And therefore, if you have questions, please email us. All of us at Education Beyond will try our best to find an appropriate resource for you. But that's exactly what we talked about in terms of community. We're here to provide any information that we have. And also, we'll be able to share the experience and knowledge to others as well.
Yes, we do understand. Sorry, we do understand that some students at preschool level or grade 1 students who are interested in CTY programs. We do have some exceptions when parents can provide some IQ test result. But the issue is we don't really have lots of programs offering for this type of students. The most common courses probably would be reading courses at that level, but they're really very limited offer, and we don't have life courses for that young age. So students who are admitted into our program at that young age, when they reach grade 2, they are still required to take the SCAT for future.
キャサリンさん、ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much, Catherine. And there are still many more questions coming in. Are there any support provided for children who are living outside of the Kanto area? Ohara-san, can you answer this question? Well, if you are considering taking part, yes, we hope that you can, but of course, you will have to travel every week. And are there any supports or aid for this travel? Right now, we have not considered that yet, but we are hoping that we can spread opportunities for children taking part in the pilot program to other regions as well. But right now, we will have to ask you to travel. So this is going to be a program in Tokyo, but as Education Beyond spreads its programs, maybe we will have opportunities to provide programs in other regions outside of the Kanto region. Now, what level of arithmetic should the child be able to do in order to take part in the programs? Maybe Catherine, you can answer, or Paul?
Actually, if they are taking the SCAT test, as I said, there are 3 levels in the test. For students in grade 2 to 3, they will take the elementary test level, which is designed for students in grade 4 to 5. If they are currently in grade 4 to 5, they will take the intermediate level SCAT, which is designed for students in grade 6 to 8. Any students in above grade 6, they will take the advanced level test, which is designed for students in grade 9 to 12. So you can see the above grade level is about 2 to 3 levels or above.
さんも何かこう実感でこんくらいかなとか、なんかご経験でお話しされる。
Anything from Paul that you would like to add?
The best way is to start with the test. And if you find that the test was too easy for your children, again, please contact us. But this is going to be on an individual by individual basis. So, please let us know if you need any help. If you think that your child is above that level, even the advanced level is too easy for you, please let us know. We'll work with CTY to help your child.
あと問題のレベルですけれども、先ほどご紹介したCTY のホームページ
Regarding the skill problem, level of the problems, the CTY website that we introduced earlier has some sample questions, so you can look at that for reference.
個別の質問がある場合にはぜひ
And as said earlier, if you have any individual questions, please send us an email, and someone from Education Beyond will help to answer that. And regarding the bilingual supporter, the teaching assistant, do they have an understanding of the unique characteristics of advanced learners? So I think the question really is asking about who are the supporters?
Going forward, because this is going to be a new format for CTY as well. Going forward, what Education Beyond is going to do is to work with CTY to set the right criteria for the bilingual teaching assistants. And I can first assure you that these teaching assistants will go through certain training provided by CTY to make sure that whatever assistant they provide is in line with what CTY thinks is appropriate for the children. And therefore, we don't have a set criteria that we're publishing today, but let me assure you that the teaching assistants will learn how CTY work with advanced learners, and they will be trained before working with the children.
そうですね。ということで、皆さんちゃんと
So the bilingual supporters will be getting the right training, and we hope that that will be reassuring for you. And I think we have maybe 5 more minutes.
は成長されてどのような進路に
So, what careers or what paths have the children who took the courses overseas seeking after they take the course?
を受けられたお子さん
So, the children who took the CTY program, what career paths should I say? What paths did they pursue after they took the courses? Maybe Catherine-san?
It really depends on the age when they take the test or the program. One of the benefits of the program is it's a good way to find their interest at an early age. So for example, when they're in grade 3 and they are interested in medicine, whatever, they may not be able to find courses at school at that early age, but they can find something to learn from CTY, which is easier for them to find their learning target. So when they go on to their middle school or high school, when they have to choose their subjects, it's a good way for them to find that target at that early age. Sometimes if they are going to be applying college and they took some courses from CTY at the middle school or high school level, they will be able to choose what they want when they apply to the college. In terms of career path, it may be too early for grade 3 and 6 right now, but actually it's a good time for them to find that real interest.
ありがとう、キャサリンさん、ありがとうございます。そして、この
Thank you, Catherine-san. And then maybe this will be our last question. So parents and children, the participants, will there be an opportunity for them to interact, Paul-san?
Sorry, can you repeat the question one more time?
参加者同士、
So the participants, meaning the parents and the children, will they have an opportunity to interact and mingle?
Yes. Just to give, I guess, a preview, we do hope that the parents and the students will get to know each other and would actually be able to share the experience together. In addition to the community that we'll be building in the future, we are planning to have events, for example, before and after the courses, the pilot courses. We will have a place somewhere probably the same as our pilot program, where the parents and the children can get together. I think it's always good to know others before the program, before you start, so you will not feel intimidated. And obviously after the program would also join together for celebration. I think, Catherine, if I remember correctly, there will be sort of a semi-graduation providing certificates kind of ceremony as well. I think we'll follow that tradition as well, but maybe you can talk about, city-wide sort of graduation ceremony.
For summer program, for on-site campus program, yes, we do have celebrations. We do have opening ceremony and closing ceremony. And during the program, students would get together and show their projects to each other as well. But for online programs, it may not be easy to do that. In terms of ceremony, we may have ceremony for students who took the test, who get a high level scores, such as high honors degree level or a grand honors degree level. So for those honorees, we will have a virtual ceremony held for these students to attend. We just had one in January, I think. Most of the high honor honorees and grand honor honorees that they took the test afterwards, they join our virtual ceremony, and then they show their interest and their medals online as well.
Yeah, let me just add that that's the reason why we're holding the pilot, which is that we're going to try our best to combine what's provided in person with the online program. So, the events that we can help together in the same location before and after the pilot program is something that the live cannot do.
ポールさん、キャサリンさん、ありがとうございました。
Paul-san, Catherine-san, thank you very much. From Education Beyond's perspective, we want to make sure that there's an opportunity to develop a community with the parents, with the teachers, and also the children. So we look forward to your support and cooperation, and we will do our very best in developing our activities. So again, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you to our panelists for helping to answer the questions. Lastly, we would like to provide some information about upcoming activities for Education Beyond. We will be posting activity reports, testimonials, as well as information on upcoming events on the Facebook page. Please access our Facebook through the QR code or the URL, which is in the chat. Please follow